So, the next speaker right now is the Ogun State Special Advisor on Education, Primary and Secondary. I'm talking about the legal luminary, Mrs. Ronke Soyombo.
Ronke Soyombo is a resourceful educationist, prolific writer, an accomplished business lawyer, a Microsoft certified professional, and a great motivational speaker. After her stint at the then Ogun State College of Education, now Tai Solarin College of Education, she proceeded and graduated from the prestigious University of Lagos with a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry in 1989. She proceeded to London Guildhall University in 1997, where she bagged an LLB in business law. Ronke Soyombo was trained under the new Ofsted framework in leading, monitoring and evaluating schools in London before her appointment as the first Director General of the Lagos State Office of Education Quality Assurance in 2015. The quality and standards of teaching, security around schools, learning environment, safeguarding and child protection, checkmating of examination malpractices, and admission racketeering activities across schools in the state's 6 education districts have improved tremendously since her coming on board. She has well over 35 awards recognition, and she is happily married with children. Please welcome Ronke Soyombo.
The Honorable State Commissioner of Education, Lagos State, a role model and a mentor indeed, my auntie, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo. We never joke with that because she brings everybody up and she can tell you of any time. But she's saying, all right, I'm so proud to have you here. My wonderful brother, Mr. Feladrotoye, who is a fantastic role model. We're so proud of you. Thank you so much for that session. Permits me to stand on existing protocol there because I don't know anybody on the table. You're going to forgive me, but I know there's a Ronke Posh there. And I'm not going to be Ronke Soyombo now, so I want to be Ronke Posh as well. Because how come she's posh and I'm still sure? The wonderful builders in the house, I really want to welcome all of you, and I appreciate all of you, because you are the right people building the future leaders of Nigeria, the future leaders of the nation, the future leaders of the world. And so that tells you have a lot of work in your hand. The last but not the least, don't think I've forgotten her. I know I'm a senior sister, but I take her as my own senior sister. Because in terms of age, I'm older, but she mentors me, and I'm so proud of you, Caroline. Caroline that is seated here, I've looked at your profile written in the book. It's actually not right, because this woman was given an award by the Queen of England for being one of the best practitioners in England. She has over 13 schools at the moment in England. Caroline is a challenge to you. You are seated there. Please, all I'm going to say is whatever you find your hands doing, do it well. Don't limit yourself. You are starting right. You are starting early. And I know we're talking about children in early years, but this is a challenge for you that anytime you meet Caroline Popola, please, it's a challenge for you to actually put yourself together and say, I also can become somebody. And there's a woman that has brought Caroline Popola to the world here today. We must not forget her. Mami, I really want to say thank you so much for bringing all of us here today. Thank you, ma. Yani wura iyebíye tí a kò lè fowó rà. Ìyá ni wúrà iyebíye. A kò lè fowó rà. Wọ́n lóyún mi fóṣù mẹ́sàn-án. Ó gbọ́ mi fóṣù mẹ́ta. Yeah. Right, thank you so much, everybody. Please be seated. Forgive me. I know people that have met Ronke Soyombo before will say she's always naughty. So it's too late for all of you to change me now, don't you think? And I'm not just a special advisor on education anymore. If I have your number, remember I'm also the National Director, APC, for women professionals. Women, stop sitting at the edge. It's high time we all take part in politics. And just we cannot continue to allow just people that are not knowledgeable enough to continue to decide for us. Because we are working on the 35% affirmation. It's high time we all do it together. Okay, I'm talking on how solid is your early years foundation as an educator. There should be asking question there. How solid? Please ask the next person beside you. How solid is your early years foundation? Right. Everybody has been talking about very lovely things. Please, people that know me know that I'm more into classroom. Okay, so mine is not going to be as posh as Mr. Feladro to his slide. So forgive me now. Now, as the calendar turns to 2021, you will see what UNICEF brought. The 10 countries with the highest number of babies every year. They are all this. Nigeria came as number 3. That is within a year. You can see 21,439. And globally, every half of this birth are estimated to take place in 10 countries, with Nigeria having the 3rd highest number of births as follows. And I'm talking of a day birth. This is just for one day. And so that tells you, if you're a school owner, am I free to come down or do I need to stay up here? Right. If you look at that, that tells you that every school owner in the house prioritize early years. When you see schools that are flourishing, if early years is not good enough, your school will not flourish. Because your early years will feed your primary school, and your primary school will then feed your secondary school. And another thing is, let me go biblical a bit, that when the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? A lot of our children are struggling today. You're going to see it as I go on in my slide. A lot of our children are struggling at the moment because of early years education. Nigerian teachers, forgive me now, you've done a lot with primary education, you've done a lot with secondary education, but I was with my sister in Lagos before as a DG Quality Assurance for 5 years. And where are the gaps? We monitored 7,000 schools. All the gaps are in early years. If you don't get early years right, while we're talking, the child between ages 0 to 5, that is the formative stage. If I take Arabella now, if I take her here, and I travel out with her, even though she's still even older, if I take a 5-year-old with me, I am not likely to change with my accent anymore because my accent is fully formed. But the 5-year-old comes back after 6 months with a changed accent because that child is at the formative stage. And it is that formative stage that we keep on abandoning. I'm sure Aunt Shade has taken over Lagos State now. She would have seen what I'm talking about. In quite a lot of our early year schools, and I'm not just talking of private alone now. I'm talking of both private and public schools. Sometimes we put some women there who are going to retire, like childminders. And we destroy the foundation of our children. So I am challenging you today that if you want your school to move forward, change your mindset, go and get your early years right, and the moment you get that right, every other thing will fall into place. And what do I need to do that? Let's look at it. These children, every child that you have at your door deserves the best possible start in life and support to fulfill their potential. A child's experience in the early years has a major impact on their future life chances. A secure, safe, and happy childhood is important in its own right, and it provides the foundation for children to make the most of their abilities and talents as they grow up. When parents actually choose to use early years services in your school, They want to know the provision will keep their children safe and help them to thrive. And sometimes, some schools, what makes me to cry is when I get to 3 to 5 year-old classes and I see children sitting at the table writing A, B, C. Oh yeah, ko, dada, ko, A, B, C. And when you look at the ECCD curriculum of Nigeria, when you look at the EYFS of UK, when you look at that of the curriculum of America, everybody's saying you have to be exploring at that stage. It is not a stage to start sitting down. It is not a stage to start doing just writing, and we are destroying nations. Now look at it. How do we start? I need every stakeholder to be part of their development. The 0 to 5 year-olds, you cannot teach that child by yourself. Enough of you thinking you can do everything by yourself. Every stakeholder has got to be involved. That's why we have Father's Day. That's why we have fathers coming to read to their children. That's why we have mothers reading to their children. Don't just say, I want you to read. Fela, you must always read your book. Those things are too wrong to say. You be the role model. Start reading to the child. Who told you the child cannot hear you? Jesus lived. When people were talking, Jesus lived in the womb. Because a white person will start reading to the child in the womb. Who told you they cannot understand? So they need you to be the role model that would actually demonstrate what you're expecting them to be. Next slide, son. Why early years education? Now, let's look at this. Brain researchers are convinced that 50% of person's ability to learn is developed in the first 4 years of life. And that is the first 4 years that we ignore. And we tell them, Shamasare Kirimbe. And another 30% by age 8. In these 4 years, the infant brain makes 50% of brain cell connections, which provide the pathways for all future learning. Because the early years are a period of considerable growth as well as vulnerability to harm. The quality of early childhood education is critical for future success. Young children require tender and sensitive care for their experience in the early years. Give me the next slide, please, because of my time. Now, what provision? This is where I'm going. I'm challenging all my sisters seated, all the brothers seated. I'm sure I know 50% of the people in the room. And so we're friends. By the time you are leaving, you must have a change mindset that I need my early years to actually get transformed. If you get early years right, you will stop printing flyers for adverts. I see a lot of school owners. They print flyers, they're advertising, they're doing this. Nobody needs to advertise. Who is advertising for McDonald's? Nobody ever advertises for McDonald's. McDonald's gets advertised because of the outcome. It is the outcome in your school that will advertise for you. So stop advertising, because that's not what you need. Concentrate more on learning outcome of our children. And so, who are those stakeholders that I'm talking about? The school leaders. What vision do you have as a school leader? Is it to drive your school? Do you know every child in your school? How is that child performing? As a school leader, you're seated here. Who is heading your early years? Let them come and feed back to you. When they're feeding back, they must know every child in the classroom. Every child is unique. The way Mrs. Adefisaya will learn will be different from the way Ronke will learn. It will be different from the way Ronke Posh will learn. So that means you have to take the child with whatever they are. And that's why we say every child matters and every child is unique. Another thing, the parents. Are you sharing what children are supposed to be learning with the parents? Because this is the only time that curriculum, even all the experts in education will tell you that you need more support from your parents for early years than primary and secondary. When you're teaching phonics, what is the focus for phonics for the week? Share it with your parents. Where is your notice board? Is your notice board all about children doing ballet dance? What are you showing on your display board? Because there are so many things that we need to communicate with our parents. What's the area of focus for the week? We're saying starting right. There must be a key focus. What is the link between the reading book that they are reading for the week? Teddy bear going hunting. What is that book that they are reading? If they're reading that book, is there a link from that book to the phonics that they are reading? There must be a connection. Not only that, I go to schools and I see now we have science lesson. Now we have geography lesson. The Lord will help us and the Lord will deliver all of us. Because when you take a book, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. You can use it for so many topics. You can use it to teach mathematics. You can use it to teach English. You can use it to teach science. There are so many things that we can bring out from that lesson. And another thing I'm going to challenge you with is, how is your outdoor area? Labeigi or Rombo. You wouldn't know that because you all went to private. Inu wadu arawaya labeigi or all those. You see, they have not forgotten. The key thing I'm talking about here is, what is your outdoor looking like? Is it allowing children to access learning? Remember, you have 3 families in your classroom. You've got that child that is a visual learner. That child will see it and understand it. You've got that child who is that kinesthetic learner. There has to be a lot of practical lessons going on. Take them out of their comfort zone. Let them come and practicalize it outside. Not only that, what about the auditory learner? If you are a teacher and you have a very wrong accent, why don't you speak to the mirror a lot and build up your accent? Because remember, what you are teaching at that formative stage, between 0 to 5, you might be destroying the future leaders of our nation, or you might be making them. And you wouldn't know that you are a Bible unto them, because at that time, they're forming a lot of things. There's a lot of formation going on. They're looking at your character. They're looking at how you're building them. But don't forget, there is another person. You've got the special needs children. And with those special needs children, you might have an autistic child that takes about 5 seconds or about 5 minutes to get things processed. And all you keep on doing is you keep on talking to them. 2 plus 2. What's the answer? Can't even talk. You don't even know it. Forgetting that that child needs to actually have a lot of counters, a kinesthetic opportunity, visual aid to support the child's learning, because that child will now get to the playground after 10 or 15 minutes after that lesson, and will now be saying 2 plus 2 is 4, because that's when it got processed. My people suffer for lack of knowledge. And we keep on caning them that you are not answering well. You are not answering well. You don't say the answer. Who is the illiterate? Is it you or the child? So parents, carry your parents along. Give them the focus for the week. Allow them to practice whatever you are doing in school at home. Stop thinking that parents, Nigerian parents, don't let anybody bully you. Forgive me now. I know because they are paying fees, you give them too much opportunities. But you are in charge. In some schools, some parents will come to school and talk to teachers, a 3-year-old, and say, my child is not counting up to 1,000. You are in charge. Don't let people bully you. Train your teachers, train your parents, allow them to understand, because sometimes you are blaming them for saying that, but because they don't know. A child came on holiday with me when I was in England, and this child was actually, I think he was a 5-year-old or so, and he was discussing with my son. But the child, I was almost going to say, oh, I'm disgraced. This child can count up to 1,000. But when it came to discussion, I realized that my child had deeper understanding of what he was saying better than the one that came from Nigeria. So don't engage too much in rote learning because you might be doing a disservice to our children. Allow children to have, I'm going to get into the important C's now. Now, teachers, up your game. Teachers, train yourself. Early years is a vital area. Even in university, I graduated from University of Lagos here in education. Nobody taught us anything about early years. There's a gap. You need to train yourself. I know it's coming now. I know we've been fighting in Abuja at the moment that there's a need for us to review Nigerian curriculum because it's so obsolete. And I can be quoted anyway, I don't care. Your teaching assistants, they're not there to just take the child to the toilet. They are there for you to allow them to break the child's learning down to that child's level. On that table, you might have your gifted and talented. But on this table, you've got your less able. There must be a fantastic teaching assistant that can break it and use the right resource to bring that lesson down to the level of those children. And that goes into differentiation of lessons. And sometimes you might ask your teaching assistant, all the things we've done on numbers, let's replicate it outside. Allow your teaching assistant to understand what you are teaching in classroom. The child. Can somebody say the child? At all times, take care of the child. Stop sitting them down for too long. You sit children down for over 20 minutes, and you keep on kicking them. And the child is now kicking you under the table. I'll kick you if I was your child as well. I'm sure you know I'm a hyper as well. And with that, if you sit me down for more than 2.5 times my age, I'm sure Mr. Feladrotoye is a pastor. Are you a pastor? Okay. You know, when we go to churches, when they talk too much for over half an hour, when you get into your car, you don't remember the sermon. Does that happen to you? But if you see a very lovely pastor that preaches just for half an hour, we get everything in, and we can actually perform better. But when you see a professional pastor that has more to say, after 30 minutes, that person knows that, look, you guys have been seated for so long. He puts a nice song. Ebami boruko baba. Oloruko ula. You know, you stand up, you dance. Then it tells you to sit again. And that goes to children. Our children cannot sit for more than 2.5 times their age. After that, if a child is 5-year-old, they're only supposed to sit for 12.5 minutes. And after that, give them another activity. Move them around. There must be a lot of carousel activities in your classroom. Enough of you saying they should do the same thing. Some schools have even timetabled our 3-year-old for 1-hour lesson. When you get home, read Psalm 51 and Astaghfirullah 100. Because you're sinners. You can imagine somebody sitting a 3-year-old down for 1 hour to do what? And now you are now blaming them that they are kicking. Why won't they kick? Even if I could shoot, I could shoot self. Next slide, please. Now, this is your child. The child, I know Mr. Feladroto said the child is like a pothole. Mine is like a box, an empty box. The child is like an empty box when a child is born. So the more you fill the child, the better it is. And the child can take so many things in. Stop thinking that, oh, this child cannot learn this child cannot learn that. I came into Nigeria and I saw one particular lie that people were talking about. That they said, oh, children from 0 to 10 should only be speaking Yoruba. You know, that was happening in some of our public schools. And they said somebody changed the policy that they must communicate in Yoruba because it's mother language. We respect mother language. However, you and I went to school, we learned Yoruba, we learned English, and not only that, some of us came with Igbo backgrounds at home. Mom was still speaking Igbo, dad was still speaking Yoruba, and we could take everything in. So please, the child can take it in. Mrs. Adefisayo and I were in England together recently. I'm sure she might not remember when we went for Early Education World Forum. And we sat at a dinner table, and somebody was talking to me. When we got there, this particular Hausa person she went to visit her children for the first few days or so that we arrived. So when we were almost planning to come back to Nigeria, we were all at table, and she said, and I was talking to those white guys that, oh, we have some problems with literacy. We will need some support. We will need this. We will need that. And the lady said, oh, Ronke, how come you guys have problem in Southwest? That me, I don't have problem. I said, so what do you do? I was very eager. I thought she was going to give me a good strategy. And she said, look, our children in my state, this was somebody that's been a commissioner for 4 years, for another 4 years, so 8 years. And our own children are in England, right? And not only that, she now said, oh, my children only learn in, the children in the state only learn in the local language. I said, Damboroba. I know I'm a naughty person. But I was pissed off because you have damaged lives. We are Anglophone country. We're still English speakers. English has to be the core. We still need to use English at all times. That's the only thing. And when there's English barrier, that is why. When last did you follow those Boko Haram boys? I follow them online to just see how they are, to just how intelligent they are. Those boys are too intelligent. And nobody has created them than you and I. Because if we don't teach English right, if we don't teach reading right, if we don't teach phonics right at the starting level, then we might be doing a disservice to the life of the children. So remember, development matters. Allow yourself, if you're starting right, remember in Nigeria we have the crutch, 0 to 20 months. You need to understand what the child in 0 to 20 months needs. The phase 1 phonics, that's when they listen to a lot of rhymes. Allow them, even when you're playing the DVD, they're dancing to it, they're miming to it, they can't talk, but they can mime. And they can do a lot of things at that stage. 16 to 26 months is phase 2 phonics, 22 to 36 months is phase 3 phonics. That 22 to 36 months, if you're a school owner, put your best teacher there. Because if you don't get your best teacher for 22 to 36 months, you might be doing a lot of disservice to the school because that's the best area. That's when you're forming the CVC words, the consonant, vowel, and consonant. So you need somebody that is well clued up, that understands what education is all about, of your best teachers for early years, and all that. Please, next one, sir. Now, what are the characteristics of effective learning? With that, quickly, I'm running out of my time, or this MC will be eyeing me now. Now, number one thing for active learning, all my sisters and brothers in the house, I am preaching the gospel. Let's make our children to have active learning at that age. They must be active. They must take ownership of their learning. Enough of you standing in front of them. 2 plus 2, Kim we. 2 plus 2, Kim saw. It can work. They must be allowed to play and explore. They must be allowed to create and think critically. Give me another slide quickly. Now, this is where we're going. This is all about early years. When you look at the ECCD, this is what we have broken down as well. With that, you will see that personal and social development in red here is the core. If you get this right, if the child can actually have good disposition and attitude, if you have morals in place, values in place, as Mr. Feladrotoye said, if this child gets this right in early years, they are going to perform very, very well in their future. And that's why I would tell every practitioner in the house that we have 7 areas of learning in early years, and it's not just maths and English. Nigerian parents are getting it wrong, thinking it is only maths and English. Maths and English are just 2 areas out of 7. Now, if you get communication and language right, that means you need to promote a lot of reading and writing in your schools. Promote speaking, communication. Allow that child that has come with 1 word to your school to start building up. How can I build up the simple sentence? Even you will have some children, by the time they're getting to 4-year-olds, they're beginning to use compound sentence. Celebrate them. Never neglect them. Celebrate group practice in your school. Put it up. Write it somewhere. It's not your bedroom. It doesn't have to look that neat. We want good classrooms, but at the same time, it's a workable classroom. Physical development. Allow your children, please. I really, really frown at it when I get to schools and children are not allowed to come out during playtime. Who told you? You are really killing children. You are killing lives. Some people will even say, you won't go out at lunchtime at all. You won't go out at playtime. That child, unfortunately, cannot learn after a while again. They are tired. They are sick of us telling them to sit down. Ideally, there must be playtime in the morning after 1 or 2 hours for them to go and chill because they are tired. So physical development, what structures? I know Mrs. Adefisa is in Lagos now. If you don't have your 3 structures, your structures outside, you are not supposed to be an approved school. Because children must be allowed to climb. They must be allowed to actually exercise their limbs really well. Maths is another one. Literacy is there. Expressive art. Give me the next slide, please. You can see that everything here is seriously interwoven. And that's why early years teaching is completely different from primary and secondary education. Next one, please. Now, we're getting there. Say the 4 C's. The 4 C's. I can't hear you at the back. 4 C's. Please clap for yourself, Nigerian teachers. The best teachers in the world. You must not forget the 4 C's at all times. Remember, allow children to communicate. At all times, promote speaking and listening in your school. Collaboration. There must be opportunity for critical thinking, creativity. Quickly, let's rush the slide. Let me finish now, please. And raising the profile of reading, please, should be a core thing that you can take away from here today. Raise the profile of reading. Next one, please, quickly, sir. I've talked about phonics. Phonics is core and is key, please. Never joke with phonics at all. Let them talk about it. Let them listen. Let them read. Let them print. And printing doesn't have to be in that exercise book alone. You can have a lot of whiteboards, a lot of things. Slate, the one we used when we were young, allow them. The jumbo pencil. Stop giving children the normal pencil when they first get to your class. Go to Lagos, get jumbo pencil. Those big ones is very good for them. Next one, quickly. So with this, you will see that, 1 minute. You will see that when children are here, and this is what is happening in Nigeria, I have supervised schools to realize that a lot of our children, when they get to WAEC level or to GC level, if it's a British school, when they get to that level, a lot of them don't do well in English because they can read so fluently, but they are reading well, decoding, but not comprehending. And that's because the foundation has been faulty. So work on the foundation, colleagues here. You and I, that's why I call you builders when we first started. And our target should be, there must be good comprehension and good word recognition. At all times, build on this, because with Rose's report, it will help you so much at all times to always know which one to work on. Quickly, next slide, please. So, improve their social skills at all times. Next one, I'm running now. Eagerness to learn. Our children, remember at all times, when they learn so well like this, you're building a better and brighter future. Next one. Encouraging holistic development at all times. Next one, please. Boost self-confidence at all times when you have early years right. Enhance attention span. And the last but not the least, yes, who is pregnant? All of us are pregnant, so we need to give birth. What have you done today to make you feel proud? So there's something in you. You have a lot of skills in you. Please bring it out. A lot of our teachers are well-skilled. They have a lot of skills in them, but they're afraid of what will my parents say. Educate your parents before you take measures. Let your leaders understand what you're doing. And the last but not the least slide, what's on the web? If you want resources and so on, please, they can send that to everybody that has come, which is fine. Staffall.co.uk. Next one, please. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we please put your hands together for Mrs. Ronke Soyombo Posh.